Afternoon, Glenn. Thanks for joining us.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Hope you're keeping well. Tell us about Albion as one and this incredible donation that has been made by the club's players and directors of £263,000.
Yeah, it was just sort of an idea that we came up with as a group. We felt as though we could do something and that we could help our local community, and we felt it was important to do that. Obviously, being players that represent the football club in the area, and we put our heads together and just felt as though we could add some funds and like I say, try and help those around us, and obviously those that come and support us week in, week out. We did have an initial sort of whip round earlier on in this process that wasn't released to the press or anything. And then as this sort of predicament has got worse, we felt as though we could do more, so we decided to do so. And we've been in constant contact with the club during this to do it. Even though it has been a player-led scheme, we wanted to do it with the club as well. And then obviously there's the Players Together Fund that some of the boys have added to as well, which is more of a national fund, but we felt it was quite important to help our local community.
So where will the money be going in the local community? Is there any specific projects that you'll be donating to?
Well, yeah, I mean, this is the next step now to speak about those charities and really the people most in need. We're going to go out to the community, to the charities around us and see sort of who needs it, and hopefully people will be honest in that regard. Obviously, there's homeless charities and food banks, food shelters, NHS support staff. I mean, there's so many people in need at the minute, and we're going to try and put the money to the best use possible.
It's interesting you were saying this was a conversation that was taking place behind the scenes amongst the players. Has there been extra pressure on the back of maybe what's been said by certain politicians for players to come out and publicly say what they're doing, whereas maybe in the past you would have kept the charity stuff on the quiet?
Yeah, by certain politicians, you mean Mr. Hancock? I think there was an unneeded pressure because both us as a group down in Brighton regarding our first initial donation had already been made. We were already in talks with the club and amongst the first team about a secondary donation, and we were also in talks as the Premier League and the Premier League captains about the Players Together Fund. So yeah, the real frustrating thing with Mr. Hancock's press conference, I can't remember the date now, but was that it looks like we've reacted to his comments, which we haven't at all, and that we were always willing to do this, but obviously these things do sometimes take a little bit of time.
Do you think footballers have been easy targets in some ways? Because I hadn't heard any politicians talk about movie stars or high net bankers, and ask them to donate a percentage of their wages.
Maybe we are an easy target, but I think it goes unnoticed how much footballers do in not only their local communities, sometimes in other countries. Not always in this country. Obviously, we've got a lot of foreign players in the Premier League, and we welcome those guys because we want to watch the best football that is out there week in, week out. And sometimes the funds don't necessarily end up in England. They end up all around the world, but they go to good causes. I know Mesut Ozil, he does a lot. Sadio Mane, he does a lot. In the past, I know Drogba's done loads. And they're three off the top of my head that have been well documented, but so much more goes unnoticed, and they don't do it for praise. That they do it because they want to, and they feel as though they can help their communities where they've came from and things. And I think at the end of the day, most footballers are working class and want to help those that they grew up around.
And just looking at the club in general, I mean, they've really led the charge in a lot of different initiatives. The free tickets that are going to be given to NHS workers and their families, obviously. The manager and the chief exec coming out and being the first in the Premier League to take pay cuts. How proud of you of all the work that Brighton are doing, the driving test centre as well at the Amex?
Yeah, I'm really, really proud. for me personally, it was never in doubt. I felt as though the club would do as much as possible to help the local community, like I've said on numerous occasions. I mean, the way this club has progressed in the last sort of 10 years is it's crazy, to be honest. And all the while we've tried to keep, obviously we've gone from being what was relatively a quite small club playing at the With Dean with what 8,000 people there watching every week, sometimes less, even less when they had to go away and play up at Gillingham. So yeah, I think once the club grew with the Amex and the new training facilities and obviously progressed in the leagues, we wanted to try our best to keep that sort of local spirit and representing that local community as pure as possible. And I believe in this case we have.
Yeah, you've certainly done that. And Brighton have also returned to the training ground this week, one of the first clubs in the Premier League to do so. How has that been working?
I don't know, because I haven't been. Listen, it's just it's very structured. It's optional, and it's more so a place for people to do their exercise safely, without contact with anyone else. Obviously, we live in quite a populated, dense city. We squeezed by the sea one side and the motorway the other side, and the local parks, especially when it's quite warm, can be quite busy with people doing their exercise and their hour daily walk or whatnot. So the club just wanted to give us an option to do it somewhere that is totally safe, and some of the boys have taken that option, and I think it's a great thing to do.
Have you missed football arguably more than some of your teammates because you are at the veteran stage of your career, and maybe you're thinking you might not have that many games left to play? I don't want to, put words in your mouth, but obviously you are at that stage of your career where you can't really afford to lose matches and be out of action for whatever reason for a long period of time.
To be perfectly honest, not really. I've enjoyed the break to a certain extent. I think it's important to get your rest as you get an older footballer. I think rest is as important as pushing yourself. It's getting that right balance. Obviously, I have missed playing the game. I think that goes without saying. But the first 2, 3, 4 weeks were quite nice. I think the difficulty now is sort of keeping that motivation of trying to keep fit on your own. We are coming, hopefully, to a decision soon from the Premier League to whether or not we maintain this level of fitness, because my worry for players, better players than me, players that are international footballers, is that obviously we have had quite a break now, but behind closed doors we haven't had a break. We've been maintaining a good base level of fitness, because the league can be resumed at any point. So you don't want to sort of take your foot off the pedal and get caught out, go back unfit and not ready to play the last 9 games. So, like I say, even though there's been a break in football, footballers haven't stopped training and working hard. And if games do resume, we're going to get back to that peak physical fitness with what I imagine will be a very short break in between the new season starting, and then obviously the more talented boys and the boys that represent their countries will be going right into a Euros and then right into another season. So yeah, I do worry about those guys, about their fitness levels, about injuries, and about their quality of play. Obviously, there'll be a lot of strain on their bodies.
Just in terms of the Albion as One campaign, just tell us why you felt so passionately that you wanted to set it up and do something to make a difference.
Basically because we're the players that represent the football club, and the football club represents this area on sort of not only a national stage but a global stage now, and we felt as though in these times and when people around us may be struggling, that we should be trying to help those guys, and they obviously support us week in, week out, regardless of our position in the league. Often fighting relegation battles, and they turn out in their thousands, and we felt as though this was a way that we could repay them.
Obviously, you have a special connection with the area, don't you? You've sort of made it your own home. So it must be nice to be able to give back to the local community.
Yeah, it is. It's really nice. Obviously, I've seen the club grow from what it once was to what it has become. And I mean, I can remember leaving sort of League One, and in that League One campaign when we were playing the Withdean, 8,000 people. Going into the Amex, we were visiting local schools to drum up support, because obviously Brighton had lost a generation of support at that time to sort of the bigger London clubs, the Premier League clubs, people that were in a higher division than us. And every single first team player was given a school that we would attend on a weekly or a 2 weekly basis, I think. And it's just great to see what it has become now, and it's good to see young boys and young girls with Brighton shirts on around the city, and obviously how well we've done as a club getting to the Premier League. And obviously we wanted to try and keep that level of commitment and to keep in touch with our local fan base and our supporters, and we feel with this that we are and we still are a club that sort of represent this not only Brighton and Hove but also Sussex.
And when the idea was mooted, what was the reaction from the squad when everyone was approached about donating?
Well, do you know what? I was really bowled over, because everyone was really for it, and no qualms at all. Do you know what? It's been really easy to sort out for me and Dunkey. It's literally a message in a WhatsApp group, and I just got a lot of thumbs up back, to be honest, which is really nice, and I think it shows what a good group of players we are. Not as footballers, just as people in general. We had already made one donation previous to this that we made quite hastily and quite quickly off our own backs, and then Mr. Hancock made his remarks, and that was quite frustrating, actually, because we had already done something and we were already in the process of chatting amongst ourselves in the club and doing a secondary donation, and I didn't want it to look like we reacted to his comments, because that wasn't the case at all. We fully here to support our local community, and that's what we've done.
You mentioned Lewis Dunk there. You and him have been having a lot of the conversations about the salary cuts as well, those discussions with the club that are ongoing. What have you made of the way that he's taken on a slightly different role at the club in recent months and the last couple of years? He seems to be relishing the chance. He's become very much a leader on and off the pitch, especially with things and initiatives like this.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen a big change in Lewis over. Yeah, I would say probably the past 2 to 3 years. He's really grown into the role of being captain of this football club, and it's obviously a football club that's very close to his heart, being a Brighton boy, and I think that shows with his leadership qualities. And he's only getting better and better at his job, both on and off the field.
Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of the amount donated, already £250,000, what's your reaction to that figure in such a quick period of time? And what about the option that other people can donate as well?
Yeah, well, I mean, the players have been in discussions with the club for quite a while, not only about deferrals and cuts and things, but also about this. And we wanted to make it known that it was a player-led initiative first and foremost, but we were willing to come on board with the club as one, and obviously take investment from other people. Obviously, the chairman's added some funds as well, which is fantastic. And we've opened up to directors and then to fans and things now. And it's like I say, I think the name it's perfect for it, really. Albion as one, and that's what we are, and that's what we always will be. We go through the good times together and the bad times together, and hopefully we can help a lot of local community, a lot of local charities. With these funds.
And just finally, it is a very difficult time for everybody in the community right across the country as well. How does it make you feel that you can do something like this, a positive action to help everyone try and improve their situation in such troubling times?
Yeah, well, I mean that was sort of what we spoke about as a group. We obviously Premier League footballers. We represent Brighton, and we felt as though we're very privileged and that we were in a position to help other people. And like I say, the feedback I got from the boys was just completely positive. And thankfully, we've got a good amount of money to now go out and distribute to local charities and help the people that watch us week in, week out. Like I say, they come in their thousands to the Amex and all over the country, and this is just our way of saying thank you and sort of we're there for you in this time as well.